Woof.
Okay, so here are a couple of dev blogs. The first one, this one's from August 11th, so I'm a couple of days behind here. But it's on changes to test ships in closed test 12.7. So let's check that out. Wargaming is saying that based on testing results, they're applying changes to Schill, Scarlet Thunder, Defense, KITAKAMI, and U-4501. So more changes. Several of these have been changed. The KITAKAMI and U-4501 have been changed a bunch. So let's see what happens. The Tier 8 Schill, main battery reload time increased from 18.1 to 20 seconds. So they are nerfing its DPM, but their AP shell penetration capabilities increase. So they're increasing the shell pen. Okay. They're reducing the torp range from 10 to 8. Honestly, even though that's a nerf, that's kind of that puts it more in line with typical German torpedoes, which are 6 or 8 kilometers for, most of their cruisers or battleships that have them. Torpedo speed increased from 64 to 65 knots. That's so minuscule, it's going to be barely noticeable. Hit points reduced from 56,800 to 44,000. That's gigantic. Holy crap, that's over 16,000. My gosh, that's like 30% ish. That's a huge hit. I don't know, was this thing overperforming or is it extremely tanky? That would be the question. Fire duration increased from 30 to 60 seconds, so they gave it super cruiser fire, but they also nerfed its HP. Now those two don't seem to go very well together to me. Okay. Added main battery reload booster with a does that mean a 60 minus so basically you're going, now that the reload's 20 seconds, it's going to go down to what, about 6.7 if I'm understanding that right, for the action time with 20 seconds, which means basically you can get off 3 salvos in the 20 seconds more or less, instead of 2. Has 120 second reload time, 3 charges. Okay, so they're adding main battery reload booster. So that's kind of a buff. Damage control party consumable were replaced with fast damage control team consumable with action time 10 seconds, reload time 40 seconds for charges. So they're giving it a fast load heal or a fast load damage control, not a heal. Okay, that's interesting. So they've, in reducing the hit points and giving it more fires, they're making it more easy for you to put those fires out, but you do have limited charges. And then the defensive AA fire consumable has been moved to the same slot as Hydro, so you have to choose between Hydro and defensive AA. Well, as well, since AA is mostly a myth, you're always going to run Hydro anyway, pretty much, right? Okay, so that's the Schill. Overall, mostly nerfs, but a couple of buffs. They're kind of like taking some eggs away from parts and putting some of them back in other places, if that makes sense. So let's look at Scarlet Thunder at Tier 9. Main battery reload time increased from 27 to 29 seconds. So a small tweak there, not even 10%. The Tier 10 British Cruiser Defense, main battery reload increased from 16 to 18 seconds. Now, they had a huge buff to this one, and I think it was to the main battery reload. It was something like, wasn't it closer to 30 seconds? And they moved it down to 16, and then now they're bumping it up to 18. I knew it looked like way too big of a change. So interesting. Torpedo launching angles are now wider. I don't know if that's a buff or a nerf because I don't know how wide they are now. I don't know if it's really narrow and they're making it more normal, or if it is normal and they're making it wide. So you know, I guess it's technically a buff because it's the launching angle of the torps. So it's just saying you can get your torps off it without showing as much broadside is basically what it's saying. So I guess you call that a buff. I was really kind of thinking about the torpedo spread, not the launch angle. So no, this is a launch angle. So yeah, that actually would be a buff to give it a wider launch angle. And then they improve the repair party consumable. It restores more AP. Also, the restoration of hit points for ship parts. Not sure what that means. Restoration of HP for ship parts. Not really sure what that means at all, unless they are talking about it's going to do better healing of. I'm not getting a good understanding on that, but in any case, it's a buff. It's an improvement. So they buffed the torpedoes and the repair party and nerfed the reload. And we had a raid come in from Parrot Gaming. Thank you for the raid. Much appreciated. I'll get you a shout out in just a moment when we get through our review of these devblogs here. And but hello and welcome to the raiders. So Tier 10 KITAKAMI changes. The main battery reload time reduced from 4 to 3 seconds. That's here or there. That thing's not about the guns anyway. SAP shells replaced with HE shells. That certainly makes a lot more sense. Being that's Japanese, it doesn't need SAP. It should have HE anyway. If you're going to do anything, just make it HE only. What else? The HE shells will have following parameters. Maximum damage 2700, fire chance 11%. Perfect. Torpedo launching angles are now narrower. Okay, so that's a nerf because this is the launch angle, so you're going to have to show more broadside to launch your torps. Okay, so not really any earth-shaking changes there that's going to affect the ship a whole lot. They're just little tweaks. U-4501, which I've been calling the BS sub. Let's see how they're going to change it. Now only acoustic torpedoes will be available. Okay, so that means the homing torpedoes. Torpedo arming distance is slightly increased, so that's a bit of a nerf. Yeah, there's more arming distance. Okay. Sonar will have the following changes. Reload time increased from 7 to 12 seconds. Ping velocity increase. So basically they're saying you can ping less often. Pretty significant change there. I mean, that's what about 60-70%, something like that increase. It's an increase of 5 from 7 to 12. Ping velocity increased by 20%, so you get a faster ping that you can do less often. Initial and final width of impulse will now have same stats as standard German subs. Okay, I'm not a sub player, so that's here nor there for me. Increase the indicated hit area of sonar pulse. So I'm guessing the hit area on the ship that you're trying to target for the second ping is what they're talking about. Hit points increased from 10,200 to 14,100 because why not? Let's make it harder to kill than it already is. It's easy to kill when it's focused. It's just hard to kill when you're not getting direct hits on it with something. Maximum dive and ascent speed increased from 1.5 to 3.4. So yet another, that's a big buff. So it can dive and ascend faster. Great. But just remember, folks, that shotgunning is not a thing. Submarine surveillance consumable range reduced from 9 to 6. So that means your sub-to-sub sonar, if I'm understanding that correctly, you can now only see enemy subs when you're within 6 kilometers of them. Which that kind of makes some sense. I mean, ships don't have, sonar capable of reaching out further than 6 kilometers, so why should the sub have more? Due to the low combat effectiveness of the existing concept, Wow, low combat effectiveness. We decided to change it. The thing already has absolute bullcrap speed, both submerged and on the surface. Shifting the focus towards more tactical and cautious gameplay. So in this regard, alternate torpedoes were removed. Acoustic settings were changed. Now it'll be easier for the player to achieve a double hit in the marked sector due to an increase in both the size of the sector itself and the width and speed of the pulse. So they're making it easier to ping and easier to ping the same place again. At least they did increase the ping time. I'll give them that. At the same time, in order to prevent excessive effectiveness, reload time was increased. Also, due to the low survivability of the submarine, it was decided to increase the HP along with the maximum dive and ascent speeds. This should emphasize the feature's ship is fast and comfortable when moving underwater, which allows you to quickly reach the target and hide in case of danger. Okay. Now, two other new ships. Okay, I was wondering, I saw the ship names before I read this. This is a first read through and reaction, and I've only seen the ship names mentioned, and I was like, what the heck? Now I know what they are. Added LÜBECK and VRIJHEID, however you pronounce that, to testing in order to evaluate potential unique upgrades for Elbing and Golden Lion, or Gouden, respectively. So the LÜBECK is the amalgam for the Elbing, and the VRIJHEID is the amalgam for Golden Lion. So what kind of unique upgrade are they looking at? So for the German sub, the German, they do, German DD, the German DD, they're talking about a main battery reload time reduced from 7.1 to 6.8. That's not a lot. That's not very much. That's what, 4% maybe? At best, something like that. Engine boost consumable speed bonus increased from 8 to 20. So they're making you faster with the engine boost. Main battery traverse speed increased from 10 to 20 degrees per second. So basically, they're saying we're going to give you a small DPM buff, but we're going to give you a big speed buff and a big turret traverse buff. They're going to double your turret traverse. So whatever it is now, if it's 15, now it's going to be 7.5. That's interesting. That'll make this thing a better knife fighter, so to speak. So we'll see how that works out. And then on the Golden Lion amalgam, the VRIJHEID, the number of HE bomb airstrike charges increased from 2 to 3. So that means you can drop up to 3 airstrikes at a time if you hoard them up. And the reload time of HE bomb airstrike reduced from 100 to 70. So the only downside of that, okay, both of them will have the 6th upgrade slot removed. So, well, they say removed. I think what they mean, it goes in the 6th upgrade slot. So what that means on the German one, you give up. Basically, what they're saying is instead of getting a 12% reload buff, they're only going to give you 4% for that slot, but they're going to improve your engine boost and give you a better turret traverse rather than nerf the turret traverse like the 6th slot normally does. So that's interesting. And then this one, this is just a straight up buff to the airstrike. They're going to say we're going to let you have 3 and reduce the reload time. So, okay, we'll see how that goes. So that's it for this, I guess one of the new dev blogs. And as a quick, this is the one for the test ships. So a quick recap, we've got, what is it? We got simulacrums, if you want to call them that, for the Elbing and Golden Lion released to test unique upgrades. We've got a complete change to the U-4501 and its torque play. So you got You got buffs to your hit points and basically your survivability, your hit points and your ascent and dive. And they gave it some buffs on being able to ping more effectively and more effectively get double pings while changing up the torpedoes a little bit. The KITAKAMI, nothing really of note there, other than they're taking away SAP, which is that fits well with the flavor, and that should have been done, so I'm glad to see them do that. The defense is getting some improvement to the torpedo angles and repair party, but a slight nerf to the main battery. Scarlet Thunder, a nerf to the main battery reload. And then the Schill is getting a lot of changes, a lot of buffs to an extent. I mean, or a lot of nerfs to an extent. I mean, like they're nerfing DPM, torpedo range, gigantic nerf to the hit points, big reduction there, and also 60-second fires being added. But yet they're giving you a fast loading damage control with charges and a main battery reload and some additional AP penetration to make up for that. So interesting. Thank you so much for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want to see notifications of future videos, just ring the bell. Until next time, Tater Dawg says, woof.